was still a goal up, but almost the last action of the game saw Luke Ayling score his first Middlesbrough goal for a dramatic end to this championship game, which has finished at King Power Stadium. Leicester 1, Middlesbrough 1.
Thank you, John. Jerry Taggart on commentary. I don't really know where to start, Jerry, there. How do you sum that up?
I mean, it's tough, isn't it? It's not often you see it, but every now and again it just creeps in, those last minute goals. You know, Leicester had one in the first half, an extra time in the first half, and Middlesbrough have come back, you know, to haunt Leicester in injury time in the second half. You know, you thought in the second half you could see Middlesbrough, you know, applying the pressure, you know, all out attack. They played with two up front, and the two wide men just stayed up front as well. And Leicester were unconvincing, I have to say, clearing the lines, but that's understandable when you're trying to protect the lead. But just to see that ball fly in the back of the net, when you just saw another minute, another 30 seconds, and they've done it, it's just tough to take down, I have to be honest.
You just thought they'd worked so hard, Jerry, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, they were out on their feet, you know, so fair play to them. No, you know, it was a really gritty performance this evening. But I say, just unfortunately, it just wasn't enough to see them over the line.
What's the reaction? You know, I'm hearing some applause. I think the players do deserve applause, Jerry, don't they, for that? Because they did battle so hard, and they just got so unfortunate in the end that they've conceded in the manner that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many corners Middlesbrough set pieces and throw-ins and all the rest that they had in that second half, but it seemed to be every other minute there was a set piece for Middlesbrough. The ball was being swung into the box, and Leicester dealt with it brilliantly. But you know, as the lads will tell you, you've got to go right till the very end. You've got to, until that whistle is blown by the referee, you have to make sure that you're on point. And I say, just unfortunately, it wasn't to be.
I mean, that applause that we can hear in the background really is what we would have heard from the home fans. Matt Elliott, Ewan Roberts, with me, Dan Bates, here in the studio, and it would have been rightly deserved for the Leicester players, because they would have worked so hard to get that 1-0 victory, to then see Borough score so late on. No, I mean, no wonder the away end's buzzing. Of course you would be, with scoring a 95th minute equaliser. It just feels really deflating, that, in the manner that it's happened.
I mean, I think we had to do a bit too much defending in that second half. But to be fair, the lads defensively were absolutely superb right until that sort of hopeful ball that was played in. I think it was Britton, the right back. He's just put a ball in hope more than anything. And Luke Ayling, who's taken the long throw from the left-hand side, 30 seconds before he sort of...
It was over the time as well, by the way.
It was. It's a tough one to take down. It really is, because you know it can be a really cruel game. You can see the lads were desperate to win, worked their absolute socks off, and as I said, for 93 and a half minutes, defensively, absolutely superb. The two centre halves headed everything. O'Coley was filling in that right back position, did ever so well. Luke Thomas. It's a tough one to take, really, because when you're in a bad run of form, you try and see the game out. Even though they were down to 10 men, we never really had an outlet, which meant we could then squeeze up as a unit and get some sort of attacking play.
Yeah, the football was never really flowing as you'd like it to, in really confident times. But without doubt, the determination was there, wasn't it? You could see, the players have been hurt by what's happened of late, and certain things have been levelled at them, and they've responded, in pretty good style, really. I think tonight, I don't think the supporters can complain too much. There wasn't too much grumbling out there, and the players gave a good account of themselves in terms of the basics, application, commitment. They worked to socks off, as we've all mentioned. They're following up on the back of Saturday's game. Tuesday comes round quick, and they showed a bit of heart and character tonight, and that's encouraging in itself, because we know there's ability lurking in there. There's quality. It's not about that at the moment. It's just about getting the fundamentals right, and I think that tonight they've given themselves the chance to get back on track and follow that up on Saturday, Norwich away. Of course, it makes a massive difference, 3 points and 1 point, but you've got to give your assessment of things overall. Just because they've scored at the back end there in Middlesbrough, you can't all of a sudden say, "Oh, Leicester were poor," etc. They went on top of their game, but they gave a good account of themselves tonight, and I think a lot of people feared that wasn't going to be the case.
Yeah, a couple of words used there, Jerry, by Matt: character, fight, spirit. They absolutely showed that, and we really should have been sat here now talking about the fact that they held on and used that fight and that character and that spirit, which they still showed. Unfortunately, obviously, there was the equaliser, but they can surely take that into the game on Saturday.
Yeah, I think tonight you've got to take the positives. That'll feel like a defeat in the dressing room, even though obviously it's not. That's the way the players and especially will feel, and it's down then to the manager and the staff to make sure that they try and get the positives out of that game, even though that will be very, very difficult, because it will feel like a defeat in there. But there was some good stuff, like character, and saying that's after the game on Saturday. That's exactly what was needed to be shown tonight, was a bit of character, and for the most part, we got that. The work rate, the intention, for the most part, was really, really good. Fair play to Middlesbrough, down to 10 men, score an equaliser. You can't take anything away from them.
Yeah, and I guess it's a good point Jerry makes, that it probably does feel like a defeat from a Leicester point of view. At least we can. It wasn't, but it does feel like it, purely in the manner that it's happened that so late on.
Yeah, I think initially it's galling, isn't it? When you concede at that time of the game, and disappointing in any stage. But after all the hard work and effort, you could be forgiven for thinking, right, Leicester have seen this through. It was a bit of a punt into an area, and it could have been defended slightly better. Ayling's done well, in fairness, but extremely, extremely disappointing, isn't it? But conversely, Middlesbrough was celebrating like they just won the cup final on the back of that, wasn't it? Because such was their...
That is the nature of scoring a last-second equaliser.
At the end of the day, it's only a point, but the manager was absolutely delighted, and some of the players, some of the supporters, and it was, in that moment, it was the opposite for Leicester players. But Jerry says, when all things settled down, calmed down, you assess the situation, you think, okay, that was a forward step from the last 3 games, I think, in my point of view.
Just couldn't get that second goal again, could we? Just to sort of kill the game off. We're speaking about the Wrexham game, where we're the better side for majority of the game. Couldn't get the second goal. I think it was Portsmouth as well, wasn't it? Where we drew out here 1-0, got ourselves into a good position, good lead, good solid performance. Just couldn't see the game out. But I have to say, I never envisaged what's just happening. Having sort of seen the majority of that second half out, having seen Alfie Jones get a red card with 4, 5, 6 minutes to go, I thought, well, that's it now. Man advantage. We'll go and manage the game, see the game out, get our first clean sheet in 8. I think it would have been the first win at the King Power since the 28th of August. And it is a tough one to take for the lads, but they've got to bounce back. Games come thick and fast in the Championship. Got to go again on Saturday down at Norwich. Get the disappointment and that horrible feeling that they will be feeling in the home dressing room underneath us here in the King Power out of their system and be ready to go again and give the same work rate, work ethic that we've seen tonight. And as Matty said, that character and togetherness.
Yeah, is it difficult, Jerry, obviously, I guess, to not feel like that's a sickener, because it is conceding in the 95th minute. That's just a fact. But then to go into the game with Norwich on Saturday, how difficult a job is it for Marty to say to the players, look, as Ewan said there, you were really good for 95 minutes. Let's use that. Let's look at those positives heading into that game on Saturday and try go in with some form of momentum into that game and some form of confidence, considering you were so close there to getting 3 points tonight.
Saturday, I just think, as I said, in the dressing room right now, it'll just feel that way. So, and that's why you have a manager in place for situations like this that arise, not too often, but they do arise, and this is one of those situations where the manager has to earn his coin and make sure that the players understand that for 90 however many minutes. They showed everybody, including they showed the fans especially, that they have got that commitment and that fight and that spirit. Even if the football wasn't, they weren't at the top of the game with the ball at their feet, or they, especially in the second half, they didn't create too many opportunities. But that's just something that you have to, on that side of things, that's just something that you have to hope just clicks, especially at the top end of the pitch. But that aside, the commitment, the passion, the desire was there, and that's the thing he has to, sort of get through to the players while they're feeling down and while they're feeling a little bit jaded and sorry for themselves, and rightly so.
I mean, they won't need the manager to tell them that was far better than Saturday. They'll know that individually and collectively that was a far better performance that what they produced on Saturday, especially in the first half.
I think the supporters will think that too.
No, I totally agree. That's why you've seen a positive reaction to a more of a positive performance, especially in the first half. If Okoli takes that chance, and then we get the penalty to make it 2-0 at half-time, you'd think it's game over. Leicester go on to win the game quite comfortably, you would have thought. It's just in the manner, had you conceded on 70, 75 minutes, you hold your hands up, yeah, okay, it is what it is. But to concede with nearly the last header of the game from someone who hasn't scored for nearly 2 years, it's a tough one to take.
Yeah, and I don't think also it wasn't down to any blatant mistakes by Leicester, or sloppiness or casual play, or yes, it could have been defended, like the actual challenge itself, a little bit better, but as if buts and maybes, saying never over the course of the game. I thought it was quite an evenly contested game. They were applying the pressure, Middlesbrough. They'll feel that they deserve something out of the game, I imagine. But Leicester having the lead for as long as they did, it was sort of equally cruel at the back end of both halves, wouldn't it, for both teams? Really, I think Middlesbrough were slightly hard done by, possibly by the decision, well tucked away by IU, and then the opposite occurred in the second half. But for me, the key is, again, take the positives, as Jerry said there. Once the dust has settled, but going into the game at the weekend, they've got to, within themselves, the manager can help, of course, but as a group of players, for me, they've got to realise that level of application, commitment, is needed every game. Not just when we're up against it or we're getting a bit of criticism, or it's got to be, they've got to work themselves back into the form that they're capable of showing. And without doubt, they've got that capability. But they've just got to be very strong mentally now going forward.
I mean, I feel for the back five.
Yeah.
Include the goalkeeper when I say that, because I thought they were superb.
Both goalkeepers, actually.
Both goalkeepers. Begovic has come in and he's made a really top class save. I mean, that's the first time I've seen a referee give a corner kick for the goalkeeper taking longer than 8 seconds with a ball in his hand. I don't think the referee covered himself in glory. That's some strange decisions. But I thought the back four and both goalkeepers 100% deserved a clean sheet tonight. Absolutely. I thought for 99.9% of the game, Ben Nelson coming in there, playing next to Vestergaard, never put a foot wrong. As I said at half-time, made good decisions, didn't take risks, defended superbly. I thought Vestergaard was outstanding. Won his headers, passed the ball out the back really well. Deserved a clean sheet. Sadly, it wasn't to be, but they carry on defending like that, then they won't go far wrong.
A little quick mention from Luke Thomas, I think, as well, coming. Got rested, shall we say, stroke dropped the weekend. Christensen didn't have his best game, and then all of a sudden he's back in the front line, and again acquitted himself admirably. I thought he was good going both ways. Obviously in his main defensive role, but also particularly in the first half, in a positive sense going forward. So well done to him as well.
Yeah, Jerry, do you agree with that? I mean, in terms of the standout players in a Leicester shirt tonight, he's got to be one of them. I would have suggested Luke Thomas out of a number.
Yeah, absolutely. His quality from that left-hand side. Dogged defence. He was out in his feet as well. Luke Thomas, bless him. But yeah, really good performance by, you got Okoli playing at right back. Acquitted himself really well, I thought. So yeah, and obviously the two centre halves, Ben Nelson coming in, did fantastically well. Obviously that's the first time they've seen him this season in the league anyway. So yeah, he can be proud of his performance.
Is that difficult, Jerry, as a central defender to come in like that? Is it hard for him to then almost hit the ground running? But tonight it seemed like he did do that.
Yeah, because it's not about, when you're playing at the back, it's not about necessarily what you do with the ball. It's about timings. It's about understanding the players, your defenders around you. It's understanding how you play as a unit, as a back four or a back five, if you want to call it. So it's not easy because it's more of a mental thing than it is a physical thing or a technical thing. So because you've got to make sure that all the decisions you make are absolutely spot on, and for the most part they were.
But yeah, from a central defender's point of view as well, Matt, yourself, you said at half-time you were impressed with him. He was doing the simple things, but in a good way. And I think you said the same thing too. So yeah, were you impressed with his performance?
I have been ever since I've seen him. I've seen him play, in the under 21s, 23s as it used to be, and he was playing at that level, highly rated from a very young age. He has all the main attributes. I was saying to you, and you haven't been in his company, and he's taller than me and you, and he's a few stone lighter, and he's a little bit more nimble than us as well, right? But
I like how you're
always dragged me
putting
into
into the same bracket as you.
We're all in it together, mate. We're all in it together. But he can cover the ground as well, and he's quite elegant, young for centre half, plenty to learn in the game, plenty of time for that. He had a good season last year at Oxford, didn't he? In this division. So he can handle this division. Pre-season, he had played a couple of games and wasn't at his best, shall we say, a couple of little loose moments, but nothing too severe. So that gave him, he wasn't considered to be in the starting lineup, stroke squad, but like Jerry says, first time he's featured. That's another thing I don't know how players do these days. Where has he been playing his games in between? He hasn't been playing for the 21s, has he? I don't think so, Dan. So how do they keep that fitness? I mean, he is an athlete. He's like a greyhound. There's nothing on him at all. He just carries himself so easily. If I hadn't played a game for 3 months and you come in and perform like that, you wouldn't breathing out your backside at half time, aren't you? You're off. The hand will be up. But Ben just cruised it, really, and that's a great sign of things to come.
Yeah, okay, Ewan, we've got a couple of minutes left. It feels horrible, that conceding like that, doesn't it? We, would have been so much better had we been talking it. It said 1-0 at the bottom there. That's what we thought we were going to, coming and sitting down in here. So we've touched upon it a little bit. How do Leicester take the positives from that? Because there certainly are positives this evening, and take that into Saturday against a team that haven't been great at home this season.
At the minute, I think there's little bits of luck that are going against Leicester City. You look at the first goal on Saturday where Samari tries to get back and it comes off his foot straight to the Blackburn lad who scores. The goal tonight, it's a hopeful punt into the box at the end of the day. It's more in desperation than anything else. But they score.
Middlesbrough will say the pressure told in the end, won't they? There'll be different outlooks on it.
I understand that, but if the lads keep applicating, is that the right word? Applying themselves like they did in this game, especially the first half, with the quality that we've spoken about, then they will soon start turning things around.
Yeah, final point, Jerry, do you agree with that?
Yeah, pretty much so, Dan. I still think there's some issues that need sorting out, but hopefully sooner rather than later that can happen. And you can see that Leicester are a good side. They've got good players, and they need to stick together when the going gets tough, like they did tonight. And hopefully they'll turn that draw into tough away wins or home wins as well. But yeah, no, there were some good signs tonight.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Jerry. We've got plenty more coming your way here on Fox's Hub, of course, over the coming weeks or so, starting on Saturday, really. That trip to Norwich and to Carrow Road. It is a 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. That means we will be live from 2:30. There are game passes available for you, international monthly passes there for £25 a month to secure that. If you're in certain territories, you can watch pretty much every single game with us, and there are Listen Live monthly passes as well on offer for you. They cost just £4.99 a month. That means you can listen to all of the action with us on Fox's Hub. Big thank you to Jerry Taggart on commentary duty for us this evening. Thanks as ever, Ewan, for your company. Thank you, Matt. It's always great to see you, Matt, for your company on this Tuesday evening, where unfortunately it has ended in defeat for the Foxes, but they'll go again on Saturday, where hopefully things will be a little bit different. Thank you, everybody. Good night.